The numbers are still getting verified because the death toll, unfortunately, has been rising since this morning. Two separate incidents between Greece and the shores of Turkey. One on the tiny island of Pharmakonisi and the other one, Kalolimnos. We've been hearing that at least 34 people have died, amongst them dozens of children and women are part of, unfortunately, those who perished at sea. But the Coast Guard has managed to rescue at least 60 people, they've said, in these two separate incidents that took place earlier today.
Natalie, do we have any indication of the fact that perhaps less people are trying to make this treacherous journey? Of course, we've seen these images going on throughout the year. This is now the middle of winter, and it certainly is just a treacherous trip to try and do.
Absolutely. You know, Greece has seen around 850,000 asylum seekers and refugees land on its shores and cross its borders last year. And that's out of a total of Europe saw around a million, over a million. So Greece has been really feeling the bulk of this refugee crisis that Europe is now debating and discussing, but the solution has yet to materialize. In January alone, and we're not even at the end of the month, we saw around 30,000 asylum seekers get to Greece, and that's compared to like around less than 2,000 last year this month. So you can imagine how difficult it is for this debt-strapped country to deal with this huge European refugee crisis.
Natalie, where do efforts stand in terms of processing the asylum seekers as they come in?
Well, what do we have is various, we have, of course, the Greek coast guards who are dealing with this. They've been beefed up by help with Frontex, which is essentially the European border agency, but it's still, very, as we can see from the images that we're seeing, far too little to cope with this huge crisis. The Greeks are also sending Super Puma helicopters in order to do this. And of course, their main points of arrival on the Greek islands have turned into processing stations where the migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers are being, if you like, filtered to see how everything is going to be managed. But it feels on the Greek side that Europe is still far from actually coming to any material and solution that will actually address the long term and a plan ahead, because as we're seeing, temperatures are freezing here, and yet the migrants are still arriving. What will happen as soon as the weather starts improving? That's a big question mark that the Greek authorities are faced with, and that's what the foreign minister, Mr. Kotsias, will start discussing with his counterparts in Europe in February.